Let me bring Elizabeth Graham into the conversation. All right. So I'm struggling with this one, as you know. And it's so.
Do you need me to bail you out, Matt?
No. I haven't changed my mind since this morning, since I told you very early this morning that I didn't think that you and I were going to be on the same side of this particular. Elizabeth Graham, who is the director of Texas Right to Life and a very, very good friend. So explain this as though we are all 3-year-olds, why it is that it's okay for the government to begin to get between a doctor and his patient.
The issue at stake is the Women's Health Program that
Right.
Governor Perry has decided to fully fund with state funds. So doctors do not have to participate in the Women's Health Program because they know up front what the rules are. So if they want to promote or refer for abortion, then they have no business wanting to participate in the Women's Health Program. So the doctor this morning talked about how this was an infringement on First Amendment rights. The doctors can say whatever they want to whomever they want, but not at taxpayer expense. So taxpayers who are subsidizing health care, in this case for low-income women, should not be subsidizing referrals to the abortion industry. So if a woman...
But what if they were, again, and this is where it gets a little muddy for me, and I know we talked about this morning. What if the doctor says something to the effect, abortion? You don't want to have an abortion. You know, here are the reasons why. Here are the medical issues that can affect you if you have an abortion. Here are the things that can happen to you medically. Here are the things that can happen to you psychologically. No, absolutely, I do not recommend that you do that. Why do we assume that the doctor is going to recommend to a woman to have an abortion?
Well, the new rule is clear in that the prohibition is on promoting abortion. So if a doctor is furthering the state interest in promoting childbirth and human life, that is not a conflict because we have in abortion case law that the state has an interest, a valid interest, in protecting and promoting life and childbirth.
Okay.
So there's no conflict there.
Okay. All right. So I guess what would almost have to happen is there would have to be a third party there to make sure that the doctor is not promoting the abortion procedure, that instead the doctor is promoting life and promoting health, and if that was the case, then we wouldn't have a problem with this, correct? Hypothetically?
Hypothetically, what we're missing in the state of Texas is accurate data on abortion statistics. We don't want to know who the women are, but we would like accurate data on the occurrence of abortion. And so part of that is abortion referrals and where the information comes from. And so if we did have accurate data, we would know if one doctor or a few doctors, how the referrals to these abortion clinics are happening. And so that's the problem. The Women's Health Program was started as a demonstration project in 2005. It was reauthorized in 2011 to serve low-income women who are seeking health care. And abortion is not part of health care. Abortion, like you said, damages women and families long-term. And so on the backs of taxpayers, physicians who participate in the Women's Health Program should not be promoting abortion, but rather they should be helping women make real choices.
So, again, the only way we would know for sure is if there was a third party there or a microphone in the room or something like that where we would know that the doctor is indeed promoting good health, and that would be expressing their desire for the woman to carry to term and to not abort the baby. So let me just take this one step further, and I did this morning. The TMA. Do you, Elizabeth Graham, director of Texas Right to Life, believe that the Texas Medical Association is pro-choice?
The Texas Medical Association's lobbyists are on record for over a decade opposing every pro-life bill that has come before the legislature, including the Informed Consent Bill that passed in 2003, the Prenatal Protection Act, which passed in 2003, parental consent laws, which passed in 99 and in 2005, and the sonogram law, as well as issues involving stem cell research and denial of treatment and medical ethics.
Now, you know that Dr. Spears today vehemently denied that claim that you made this morning. He got angry.
Actually, what he said is the TMA does not take a position on abortion.
Yeah, but he was mad when you said that. He got PO'd.
Well, he may have, but his lobbyists, the doctors and the lawyers who represent the TMA as the lobbyists in the legislature are on record. It's public testimony as opposing all the pro-life bills. So maybe Dr. Spears needs to talk to his lobbyists who stand up and say, I'm authorized to speak on behalf of TMA and we oppose this bill. We oppose this measure. These aren't my words. This is all traceable.
You'll notice you're here alone, so I'm not. I didn't bring him on.
Right.
And that's not that I don't want both sides. We had that this morning. But I am pro-life. And you know that. You know me. But I also this one I got to drill a little deeper down into this because it concerns me when we're talking about a doctor-patient relationship, and I think we're assuming, I don't know if it's correctly or incorrectly, that if a woman suggests, and again, you're right, it's the Women's Health Program we're talking about, the Medicaid program, basically in Texas. If a woman brings up abortion, if she were to say, doctor, do you think I should have an abortion, or what about abortion, are we assuming that the doctor is going to answer that question in a way that would encourage her to have one? That is the fear here, correct?
That is what we're trying to prevent. And so there are a number of doctors around the state that I've personally interviewed and who others have personally interviewed on behalf of us. And we ask them, because we have a list of pro-life doctors in all specialties, what do you say when a woman asks you for an abortion? And those doctors say, I simply say, I can't help with that. I wouldn't know where to direct you. And tell me why you're thinking about abortion, because there are probably some other options for you or some other ways to handle your crisis or your perceived crisis.
Now, under this new rule, they couldn't even do that, right? They couldn't say that?
No. The rule is to prevent doctors from referring for abortion or promoting abortion. And so if a woman asks for an abortion referral, the doctor participating in the Women's Health Program is not allowed to give a referral or to suggest.
All right. Well, that's different than what I'm reading here from what the doctors are saying then. Okay. Well, now it's becoming a bit more clear to me. But that's not what the doctors are saying. The doctors are suggesting that, the TMA is suggesting that they have to put their hands over their mouth and they can't say anything. That somehow they couldn't recommend life, that they couldn't have the discussion saying, I would encourage you to do something else. I was under the impression that if she brings up the word abortion, the doctor's got to walk out of the room.
That is, well, I'm not exact. I read the TMA's press release, and
so it's not completely. It's a shade.
Our reading of the proposed rules is different,
yeah.
Much different than theirs. In
all
fact, these rules have been vetted through a number of committees and a number of set processes in the legislature. So when rules like these when a new program like this passes, then there's a process by which rules are proposed and vetted. And these rules are almost to the final stages. So this is not news to TMA. And furthermore, had they opposed these rules if they had opposed these rules beforehand, they might be in a position to change the rules, but there's nothing in the rules that prevents doctors from having an honest conversation about alternatives to abortion with women. They simply are not allowed to promote abortion or refer for abortion if doctors choose to participate in the women's health program. If doctors don't participate in the women's health program, and they are free to recommend abortion or refer for abortion, but they don't have to participate in the women's health program if they feel as though they want to be abortion advocates and sadly direct women to abortion clinics.
All right, Elizabeth. I think I understand a little better. I'm glad you came back on this afternoon. Usually, I'm a slow learner. It takes me a little while.
Well, this program is it's new and it has been in the courts, so some of the stories are a bit convoluted.
Yeah.
But the legislature took 40% of the funds away from the abortion industry, and so when this program was up for renewal, legislators made clear we're not going to turn around and put this money back into the abortion industry through this women's health program. We want to keep it clean. And Governor Perry followed legislative intent by rejecting federal funds and keeping the program clean with state funds. So now we're in the rules process, and Governor Perry and the legislature have been clear. We don't want this program serving as another revenue stream for the abortion industry by funneling women there who might be pregnant.
All right, I got to move along, but I thank you again for helping me understand.
Thank you, sir.
You are good at that, Elizabeth Graham, doing what she does so well as the director of Texas Right to Life. Elizabeth, thank you so much.